Great. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this AMA. We are just getting started here, and folks are filling in. So I'm just going to give folks just about 1 minute to join. And while we're waiting, I'll mention this again once everybody's in. But while we are waiting, you can put your questions in. If you look at the bottom of your screen, there's a little button that says questions. It may be hidden under an apps drop down. But it's there, and you should be able to send your questions in to us. And we'll get started here in just 1 minute. Awesome. Great. All right. Well, I think there's still some folks joining in, but thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Brendan. I'm on the DevRel team here at Kilo Code, and I'm so excited. Sid and I are actually in the same building right now, just a few floors apart, because the whole team is here for our Amsterdam Focus Week. And that's been a really exciting time for us to come together, see each other, which is great because we're a remote company first, but also work on our teams and our enterprise tiers and features that are important to those customers, but also shipping a lot of great stuff for everyone. Blazing fast autocomplete. I just saw a demo of it this morning. Get excited. It's amazing. And then also working on some new products, parallel agents, code reviews with Kilo Code, cloud agents, a lot of really exciting stuff happening. I also got to see some demos of that this morning. You'll all be seeing some of that really soon. But today we wanted to get together. We have with us Sid Sijbrandij, who is the founder of Kilo. And we wanted to bring him on and ask him some questions. And he couldn't say no because we were in person together. So really excited to have Sid here with us. And Sid, just wanted to kick us off maybe with a first question that maybe I had, or I definitely know I have. And then I know we've got some coming in from the audience too. Reminder to the audience that you can ask questions. There's a little questions button down below us somewhere, maybe under the apps thing. But Sid, first off, like, what made you decide to start Kilo Code in the first place? Like, what problem did you see that you wanted to solve as a founder?
Yeah, I'm obviously excited about the AI market, and then coding is kind of where the AI is at its best, and that's taking off. And I saw the inspiration for Kilo was when I saw the momentum of open, and I decided to take on the proprietary AI offerings like Cursor with something that's more open. And for me, that means open models. Like, you get a choice of which model you want to use. Some models are better at different things. Some models are more affordable. Open pricing. With Kilo, you can use the Kilo gateway and you just pay list price. There's no commission to pay. You can bring your own key. You can use AWS Bedrock or anything else you want to use. And open source. Kilo is open to contributions. You can inspect the source code. You know what you're getting. And I think that open models, open pricing, open source is a big differentiator. And I see space in the market for it. So that's why I started it.
Great. No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. And the next question also is near and dear to my heart, but was asked by an audience member too. And I think it kind of plays off of this one, which is, we know you're also we're co-founder of GitLab. And so what like successful experiences there? I may be a little biased because I was also at GitLab for a time, but I would call it a success. How are you bringing to Kilo Code? And then like what culture and practices are maybe different or the same when looking at the two companies?
Yeah, I think what we brought is I love the single source of truth, the transparency from GitLab. I love the iteration speed, and iteration is a value, and results for customers. I think what's really different at Kilo is that compared to the start of GitLab, there's just more AI going on, and people are able to build things a lot faster than in the past because they don't have to handwrite everything. It's almost like we're now here all together, but it's almost like we're cyborgs because everyone has kind of agents working for them, and the pace of change keeps going up.
Great, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, with that pace, I'm interested, and someone else was asking if you could tell us what you think about where in the next 6 to 12 months AI coding is headed.
We're obviously going to get better models, which is amazing. Um, I think what we're seeing is more agents in parallel working for you. Where today, maybe the standard is to have one agent working for you at any time. They're going to be able to work longer independently. You're going to be managing a whole bunch of them. Uh, this morning we saw a demo, and it's already released actually in Kilo. You're hearing it here first. I don't think we even had time to announce it, but we have parallel agents now in the CLI where it was released I think a few hours ago. We can have multiple agents using Git worktree, making commits. So very exciting to be able to manage multiple agents. Those agents are also going to be in the cloud. You're going to be able to teleport back and forth. And what we are going to focus on at Kilo for the next 6 months is more integration. Like Kilo should also be able to do the deployment, should be able to run cloud agents, do the code review for you, build an app for you from scratch. We think Kilo should do it all, and that's where we're focusing.
Nice, that's great. Yeah. And the next question came in and is like, does our team have any ideas about how teams should work with AI, right? Like, so, you were talking a little bit about the individuals working with AI, but, does it make sense? How does that human collaboration with each other and then with these AIs, how do you see that working?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways in which we facilitate it. You still have kind of, although you have AI reviewing your code, it's kind of a first stop to do the AI, have the AI do the code review. And we're still seeing that a human does the final code review. Another way to collaborate is to put more in the code base, so have the AI do a write-up, like using agents .md. And last but not least, a way to collaborate is when you build a better agent with prompts, you share it with your team members. So in Kilo teams, you can share agents with each other, and that's been a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, and then I've got two questions here that I'm going to try and combine live. One was about have you considered plans about integrating Kilo Code more closely with DevOps platforms? And then the other one that's kind of related, and so I'm going to ask them together here, is like how far up and down the product stack do you think Kilo will go, right? Like product requirements, design, right? Like obviously you're very familiar with this, the world of everything that comes outside of coding. How do you see Kilo working there? How do you see AI helping there? It'd be just interesting to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, we're integrating Kilo with GitLab and GitHub. We think it makes sense. We're not looking to go into that space. Uh, GitLab first and now GitHub recently are also seeing that future, where at GitLab we talk about the dual agent platform. Like there's going to be many agents, and these DevOps platforms are going to host them. And GitHub just came out with Agent HQ, which is very similar, but a little bit behind. So that is that we take as a given. I do think there's room for kind of, for example, making easy deployment and things like that. I think Kilo has a role there to make it as frictionless as possible. Today, Brendan was making a Kilo speed button. He had to register. I prompted him to register Kilo speed.ai, which he did. But it was a lot of work, Brendan. I saw you. It was like 10 minutes of work. That should have been 1 minute of work. So maybe
Yeah,
in the future you'll be able to register a domain name through Kilo. Who knows?
I think that's going to be dangerous to my wallet, Sid, to have an automatic AI agent that can register domains. Just knowing how often I like to do that, and then not have a project in mind.
Luckily, you're using Kilo Enterprise and you have consolidated billing, Brendan. So we'll pick up
Exactly.
the bill for that.
Exactly. Okay, so next, this is a little maybe maybe more on the ground, right, into features. And there's a couple of questions like this, so I'm going to try and find the rest of them. But first off, what do you think about and what are our plans around indexing a repository, right? Building vector embeddings, semantic search, and all of that with Kilo Code.
Very good question. So today, to do that, you have to install Quadrant, Qgrant, and select a model and do it. It's doable, but it's a lot of work. Right after this focus week, John on our team and a couple of others are going to get started on making that a cloud service, where Kilo takes care of it. You'll have to provide Kilo with the tokens, and we might charge for storage. But that should be way easier than it is today. So we're thinking about adding that as a thing that works out of the box.
Great, makes sense. And yeah, next I'm doing a little try to group things in similar categories here. So someone's asking what potential developments you think would come to our orchestrator mode, and maybe you could talk a little bit about that for folks that may not know what it is, and then talk about where you think it could go.
Yeah, so in orchestrator mode, kind of Kilo lays the groundwork for splitting a task up in smaller subtasks. And then those subtasks can run kind of faster with smaller context windows. They typically lead to better results. I think that is closely related to sessions. Like if you have all those subtasks, you want to get that started at the same time. So with parallelization, parallel agents that just got released, you'll be able to do that locally. But it makes a lot of sense to also do that in the cloud and to able to take a cloud session locally, maybe beam a local session up. And also, we want to be able to fork these sessions where I already have a session, I kind of want to clone the state where it's in. And then you have to bring them together. They all produce code, they produce kind of proposal, like a PR, MR to merge it back in. Sometimes there's conflicts between them. Maybe Kilo should have a look at that too. I don't want to be looking at those merge conflicts. So I think the future of orchestration is having a whole bunch of parallel agents work on that.
Great, yeah. So I was in parallel giving a keyboard back to my friend Chris. I'm at his desk. The next one is also related to a Kilo Code feature. What's the plan for code completion? Currently, it's disabled by default. What do you think our plans are there?
Oh, I know what our plans are. It's been a big focus during Focus Week. So there's been a lot of progress. We have much better tap autocomplete. Right now, we're using it as the Kilo team. We want to get it up to snuff before you get it. Also, we need to get bigger subscriptions to handle what's going to happen when you all start using it. But it's really, really good. We saw a demo this morning, and like it was tap, tap, tap. A lot of lines. It was fast, which is super important, and of high quality. So that's going to be shipping. I think we're negotiating with our supplier on Monday, and hopefully next week, Sunday, we can turn it on for everyone, because it's the last missing feature that people need to switch to turn off cursor and use Kilo completely. So we're laser focused on it.
Great. And then the next two questions are kind of feature related, kind of product related. First, will Kilo Code plan to have its own IDE like Cursor and Windsurf, Tray? They have their own IDE versus Kilo is working inside of others. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, we want to be where you already are. We'll make it work in the VS Code. We found that with the tap autocomplete, we could make it work in a way that was more than acceptable. And by using kind of the VS Code primitives, things like IntelliSense and all the other stuff still works really well. We want to invest in the experience on top. So Kilo is available not just in VS Code, not just as a CLI, but also in Cursor, in Tray, in all these other extensions, in all the JetBrains offerings. So that's for now how we're doing. We want to focus on more features, better agents, more cloud features, instead of also making our own IDE, which is a lot of work, and you have the risk of falling behind with security updates and things like that. We're making choices there. We want to offer you all the functionality in Kilo Code, whatever editor you're using.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I mean, I use it inside of Cursor a lot, right? Like if I, and again, hopefully not anymore after our great autocompletes out. Um, Next up is kind of you mentioned the cloud, our plans for cloud. And this is, I think, semi-related to that. Is there any plans on creating complex agentic workflows? The command line option, right? We just released the CLI a couple of weeks ago, opens up some possibilities there. Any plans for REST API or other automation? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, for sure. Florian did a lot of work this week on cloud agents, and he's using Cloudflare sandbox to have the agent running. And we're looking to reuse that work. We're looking to reuse that work for code reviews, for app builder. Maybe we'll even open the API for other people to build upon it. So we're really excited. Yeah, Kilo it already works great on your laptop, but it should also work really well in the cloud, and we're getting really, really close.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I took the thing I said, turn to Florian, of course, the non-engineer in me. I said, oh, I want it to work on the mobile web so I can do it from my phone. He's like, I just built this. Give me a break. The next up is maybe switching off of like specific features and maybe more in the AI world. Like, what do you think the security risks of using Kilo Code or any AI code agent are, and what do people think about that?
For me, there's two really big risks. One is your code and IP leaking out, getting logged by the model provider. So with Kilo Code, you have your choice of models, and you can see what their policies are. If you use Kilo Code Enterprise at an enterprise level, at a company level, you can say, hey, these are the providers and the models we want to use and not want to use, which is a powerful feature to address that risk. The other big thing is when you let the agent do anything. And for our CLI, we just introduced YOLO mode, which you only live once. It's a dangerous mode. Uh, you give the agent all the possibilities. We strongly recommend you only do that when the agent is in a sandbox. So because they will have all the power, you should have them in the sandbox before you do that. And that addresses that. And we're going to have these cloud sandboxes very easy to use to make sure that people actually do that.
Great. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And this is related because we're talking about cloud. What are Kilo Code's plans about becoming certified, right? Like the relevant security certifications, SOC 2, Type 1 and Type 2, all of that. What are our plans there?
Yeah, I know what's going to happen, but the SOC compliance is top of mind, and we just passed something that I can't announce yet, I think, but it's going to be here any day.
Yeah, it's very much in progress. We're allowed to say that we are in progress with our SOC certifications. Great. And yeah, sorry, I'm just getting our next question here. So this is maybe back to features. Like, if we're competing against Cursor, right? I don't think that's shocking to anyone. What other options outside of VS Code do we offer, right? Like, so you mentioned being where they are, but maybe you could expand a little bit on like what do we mean by that outside of VS Code itself?
Yeah, so VS Code, we're also on the OpenVSX marketplace. So if you run VS Code, but you don't want the Microsoft code and the proprietary stuff, you can build VS Code as an open source project and use that. We're available in Cursor. We're available in all the JetBrains IDEs. JetBrains does an amazing job of building these IDEs, and we launched that I think six weeks, maybe 2 months ago. And I've heard nothing but good things about those two. Even in Cursor and Trade, Kilo is available. And
Yeah.
the CLI is most top of mind. It's 2 weeks out. It's improving at a very rapid rate, and it's now getting a lot of reuse. For example, for the cloud code reviews, we're using the CLI on the background. So that's the most exciting offering right now.
Yeah, I agree, and it's enabled. I was walking to lunch today with our team, and I'm so impressed these demos that we're alluding to, and I promise everyone, just stay tuned, subscribe to the blog if you're not. You'll see very soon all the great new products we're working on, and just how the CLI being out has enabled so much of that, right? Like to this question's point, like that extensibility that you have has been kind of amazing. And as someone who loves VS Code, I was like, okay, CLI, people want it, we should do it. But now having seen what we've enabled, I'm like, oh, I was wrong about how powerful it is. Next up, there's kind of two questions that I think are related, right? And we're on the topic of competing a little bit here, right? It's like, one is, how will Kilo Code compete with well-established giants like Cursor and Claude? And the other is, I think maybe someone who wants us to win, maybe, or is maybe rooting for us, because says, what's the plan for Kilo to get more mind share? It'd be easier for me to advocate at work if I wasn't the only one using it. So I think those are related questions. What are your thoughts there?
Well, thank you for wanting to use Kilo, and thanks for asking. This is my first live AMA, but certainly won't be the last one. So I'll try to help spreading the word. I think if you're at work and you want to spec Kilo, one option is to sign up for our Teams offering and invite your coworkers so that you can, for example, share those agent modes together. And yeah, we got a lot of work ahead of us of becoming as well known as a Cursor and a Claude, and we're working hard on that every day. And we try to do it by having the best quality offering where the agents work better than in competing products, and by having the most fully featured offering and focusing on open models, open pricing, and open source.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for being open source and being able to accelerate what we're doing with the community. And maybe kind of piggybacking off of that, the next question says, today AI agents are dominated by overhyped, proprietary big tech. Independent projects like Kilo, don't have the same popularity as giants. Do you think that this will change over time?
Well, we're competing with Cursor. Cursor Kit came out of Stanford students. Like, that wasn't a big tech giant, so it's certainly possible. And at Kilo, we know we have a long way to go, but we're also really, really excited. We launched in March. Every month, usage in measured in tokens has doubled. So thank you all for the people who are using Kilo, and we're encouraged and want to make sure we stay on that same trajectory where things get better every week for our users, and hopefully that will help spread the word. And we're also not averse to a marketing action or two.
Yeah, yeah. So I was gonna say, that's the same question Sid asks me every week. So, Brendan, what are you doing to fix this? Next one kind of relates to using for teams. That's why I wanted to bring this back into. It says, my colleagues were recently adamant about how their assistant has to follow them through the day. So their IDE, their GitHub or GitLab, but also like integrating with their corporate systems. They say SharePoint and Microsoft 365. How do you see this integration into these more kind of closed off or proprietary or enterprise, inside the firewall, people used to say, systems?
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. That is for assistants, and I think assistants will evolve to helping you coordinate all your agents. Right now, we're very focused on the coding use case, and those assistants are just integration with GitHub, GitLab is enough. But it's clear for AI, the more context AI has, the more useful it is. We think that because AI coding is the forefront, we want to win that market. We want to be the most useful there. Then we might spread out to other knowledge workers. So that's for now. We're not going to record your desktop or do stuff like that. It's the IDE and the DevOps environment for us.
Yeah, that goes to this next question then. Do you plan to move beyond coding assistance into adjacent areas like design or project management? For example, task tracking or feature planning, similar to what other platforms offer?
Yeah, right now we're not focused there, although kind of task tracking, if you look at Kilo orchestration mode, it is kind of task planning. You ask the AI to write down a bunch of tasks that are not then done by AI, but we're not planning on like feeding those tasks back into Jira just now. But if you need that, please tell us, because I've also not heard it come up. But if it's needed, we're not averse to it. Whatever helps you get your code out faster.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And this is related, right? Another important part of the development life cycle. The question is, I'm a UX designer. How do you see Kilo Code helping engineers and designers collaborate?
Yeah, I would almost say like your Kilo is your engineer. As a UX person, it's so empowering. This week, I was updating the homepage of Kilo. I'm very proud. I did on Tuesday. I did over 60 commits. But it's my first time programming in JavaScript and React, and I got stuck a few times, 2 times exactly. And Kilo saved my butt with a single prompt. But it also got stuck on the CSS. It was in global.css. It was like line 4,000. And I first asked a team member that's sitting next to me, like, can you help? And he also didn't know how to do it. We're both not experts, but we've been around. We've been programmed a bit, and we couldn't figure it out. So we asked Kilo, and Kilo was able to solve it. So now, if you look at the Teams page, you'll see those enterprise logos, and they're quite close to the plans. And there's not a whole bunch of wasted space there. That was Kilo who helped with that edit. And so I think as a UX designer, stuff got a lot more fun because you don't need to ask the engineers for help. Hopefully, the engineers still ask you for like making it look good because AI is good at that, but not that good. So I think the UX designers are going to have a lot of fun using Kilo to work faster.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I met a product manager once who talked about how they were using it, right, to do that. So I think there's a lot of democratization is maybe an overused word, but ability for more folks to contribute um, there. But let's go back to engineers for a minute. I've got a couple kind of related to deep engineer questions. One, and these two are kind of together. I figured I'd ask them together. How will the role of engineers evolve in the AI world? And then this says, as someone who already uses AI tools extensively in my workflow, what's your perspective on AI assisted versus AI driven development? Is it a valuable skill or is there a risk of over reliance? How should engineers be thinking about AI? I think if I was to generalize both questions.
Yeah, I think you should see yourself as a manager and mentor to all these AI agents. The AI agents are going to do the majority of the work. And the AI agent of a few months ago was kind of an intern, and they kind of came to you with questions every 10 minutes. Just over a few months, they've been gotten a lot better. And with parallel agents now, instead of not only do you have a more skilled kind of intermediate developer available to you, you're going to have a team. You're going to have multiple agents at the same time. So that is the future, and that's only going to increase. At some point, you might become a middle manager where you have a bunch of agents who are managing their own agents. I'm Middle management is very hard. I feel for everyone who's in that role. It's one of the toughest roles available to people. But I do think as an engineer, you got to realize that you're going to have more and more agents below you, and your job is going to be coordinating them. And when they get really stuck, getting them unstuck, just as any good manager would do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I think this question came as you were talking about the fact that you've been using Kilo a lot this week. And it's what's your preferred work? Sorry, what is Sid's preferred workflow when coding with Kilo?
Yeah, I'm using it in the IDE. I'm using VS Code. I'm using it typically in code mode. And then I have a command line open for Git. I make sure I git commit everything before I ask Kilo to roll. And then I ask like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Sometimes Kilo is a little bit over eager fixing linting errors. So then I check out that file with git checkout. And when only the files are changed that I want changed, it looks kind of decent in the git diff, I commit. And then I go to GitLab, GitHub to review the PR/MR diff. And then if I'm not quite sure, I'll assign it to somebody else. If if I think like, oh, this homepage is definitely better off, then I'll just merge my own stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I agree. I think, and maybe you and I are biased since we spent so much of our lives with Git, but like I do the same thing where I use Git to like help me manage, to your point, the agent, right? Like I can look at it before I'm committing stuff in the work tree and see what's happening. So I think that's really powerful. And
Definitely. And
maybe
it's
it's
so cool that now with Git work tree, you're able to have one working directory and then split off in different Git work trees or its own subdirectories based on the same Git repo, and then have agents run there without conflicting, and then merge it back up. So it's amazing to see that functionality.
Yeah, it's exciting. Again, makes your as an engineer Git skills just as important as they ever were, if not more. The next question is, could you share some? Oh, so this is I'm keeping in the theme of you using Kilo Code yourself. Can you share some of the like useful settings or features that you like that you find people commonly like to use?
I like it's funny to try out different providers. So there's the Kilo Code gateway, and you can try different different models. There's also different providers, like the Cerebras chips are really fast. It's kind of cool to see how fast they're able to cope with certain models. The models are not quite as good, but kind of fun. So I would say play around a little bit with providers, and then probably go back to the Kilo gateway. The other thing is to look at different agents that people made in at Kilo. We use our Teams subscription for that. The other thing we're experimenting with is autocomplete, and as it gets better, I've been lowering the bar for how fast it can prompt me. So it used to be a couple of seconds before it could give a suggestion, and now the prompts, it's getting really good. So I've reduced that time.
Yeah, that's great. Next up, I think this is following up on what we were talking about earlier about the Kilo CLI. And it says, can you elaborate on the usefulness of coding assistance in the CLI? Is the CLI interface about running in CI/CD, or are people switching out of their IDEs to the command line for specific tasks, or is it about something else?
The CLI Kilo version is really good at tool calling. Now, Kilo regular is also really good at tool calling. So it's not quite the change that it was going from Cursor to Claude Code. But the CLI, like for example, I'm in a terminal already for Git. It just feels natural to use it. So some people prefer it. I also think Kilo in the graphical user interface is good. So I tend to stick around there. But people have different preferences. Brendan, maybe you should comment. You've been taking a liking to the CLI.
Yeah, I like it. Before, funny, before we shipped, our shipping and have shipped, like you said, parallel agents. I made my own parallel agents by having VS Code up, and it was working on something, and then I had the Kilo Code CLI working on the same repository, but on a different Git work tree, so that I could be managing two agents. Now, of course, I can manage much more with parallel agents, and we'll be talking a lot more about that. So that was one thing I used, but CI/CD is very near and dear to my heart. So I am really excited about what people are going to be able to build inside of their CI pipelines, right? I've already been thinking about it for like our own pipelines, our landing page, right? Like I merged a bug to our landing page the other day that I'm like, if there was a written prompt to test the landing page before it, so I'm wondering if there can be more exploratory testing from agents in CI. Like I love deterministic CI, right? I love GitLab CI for that reason, but like I'm thinking like, what if we have this non-deterministic thing that can do more exploring in that CI process? What does that unlock? I think it's going to unlock some cool stuff for people.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, parallel agents, it's only available in the CLI interface right now. So you have to use that to do it. And
exactly.
the CLI interface is great to like stuffing it in a container in your CI/CD pipeline and other things.
Yeah, you can literally pipe, right? Unix pipe stuff into the Kilo Code CLI. I was playing with that over the weekend, so that's a lot of fun. Like have something happen and then pipe that as a prompt into Kilo Code. The Unix philosophy. Next question is maybe more of a philosophical one for you, Sid. Do you think the biggest gains, with AI, are coming to non-developers or to developers?
I think it's really hard to predict. And like 2-3 years ago, we were saying, well, the jobs that are not going to be replaced are going to be coding and these super creative things. And guess what? AI is now the best at the super creative video making and graphic making and the coding. So it's hard to predict. I think it's more like the people who adopt the fastest are going to benefit the most. It's clear that AI is going to grow our economy really, really fast. Um, and then the people who benefit are the people who adjust the fast.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, and then this is maybe a little bit related, maybe not. It says, where do you think the ownership of AI coded products is heading? Will the agents actually own the products they're building?
I think for now, the AI agents are kind of they're the authors of the line of code. Just when you work for a boss, they're not the owners of the line of code. They work for a human, and that human owns the code they've written. Um, Maybe there's going to be some humans who say set agents free, and I think right now that doesn't really matter for the motivation of agents, but maybe in the future it does. And I actually started a startup. I'm not sure the question asking knows it, maybe, but I started a startup called Revent Law, and it allows agents to own things because right now they're not a legal entity, and we found a way around that where agents can own things. And I think that's going to be a significant part of a very future economy. But for now, every agent is owned by a human or a company, and they own what they produce.
Yeah, great. And oh, sorry, I was just getting one more here. Oh yeah, so this is related, right? You're talking about another company you founded. It's how do you see AI coding agents enabling the next generation of tech founders like yourself?
I think the world keeps speeding up. AI allows us to do more faster. So the next generation of tech founders is going to see even faster growth. Like we already think of software companies of moving faster than all the companies before them. Now AI companies move faster than the companies before them, and that speed is only going to increase as AI gets better and better, and one human is able to manage more and more AI agents at the same time.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. Um, and yeah, what I would encourage that person if they want to learn more, like Y Combinator's leadership has been talking a lot about this because, of course, they're working with early stage founders and talking about how it's impacted that. I've just some great podcast listens if
For
you want
sure.
to dig in more.
Yeah. Y Combinator is has some great footage out there.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is a little bit of maybe a little spicier because they didn't give you a lot of room with this question. Sid, which is the best AI model to work best with Kilo, in your opinion?
Oh, that's a great question. I think right now, for if you use architect mode, it's GPT-5, and if you use coding mode, I think because it's faster, Sonnet 4.5 is the best one. Opus is even better, but it's so expensive and so slower. So I do Sonnet. It's really really nice.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I always end up back home at Sonnet, even though I love being able to try everything, brand new when it comes out. And sometimes you want something really fast, and that's helpful, right? But you get to make that decision of like fast versus good versus complete. Um, okay, so the next question is a little longer. I'm going to try and summarize it real quick. It says, "Thanks for the awesome JetBrains plugin, basically, and that lets you use Kilo now in all 12." They say 12 JetBrains IDEs. I have to believe them. I know there's a lot. Any appetite to build the same for Xcode or Visual Studio? And then I combined this with another question someone was asking about Zed, other editors. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, we'd love to be embedded in Xcode and Visual Studio. If there's an easy way to do that, please tell us, or even better, write the code for it. We were very fortunate that someone made great code to port VS Code extensions to JetBrains that enabled that. And that seems to be an awesome editor. I think they have the agent protocol, I think they call it, to enable it to work with tools like Kilo. And I think we're on the list of supported apps, so you should be able to use the Kilo. Oh, maybe not yet because our CLI came out recently. So I hope you'll be able to use the Kilo CLI really soon with Zed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we're not making that. So if someone's listening and wants to make that, please do.
Yep. And then this is related. So this is maybe we just answered this question, but the next question was, I'd love to help making Kilo better. I have no idea what I can do to help. Is there any particular area where you need contributors? This person has to be more into testing and test automation, but maybe you could talk a little bit about contributing to Kilo and how that would work
Yeah.
for folks.
Contribute to Kilo. Look at the testing that we do. I'm sure there's stuff to be done. For example, a lot of our unit tests probably test for the happy case, like this should happen, but there's not a lot of kind of this should never happen, and this person should never be able, or this user should never be able to access this or that. So the testing of code AI tends to not be very good. So if you want to contribute there, that would be really, really awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and this is next again about, you get a bunch of engineers in a room with asking questions, all going to be about features. Does Kilo support
Great.
self-hosted in the future, like management features of the server, but being self-hosted?
We are considering it. It's a lot of work, so we need kind of demand to do that. So if you work at a big company and they're interested in using Kilo, but only if it's self-hosted, please do reach out for us. That helps us make the case internally.
Great. Yeah, and next is maybe about current and future features. It's like any suggestions on how I should fine tune or think about using models with Kilo and my own internal code base.
Yeah, one thing you can do, I'm not sure, it's not technically fine tuning, but the indexing is really good. So consider that booting up Quadrant, installing that, and using it to index your code base. And we're soon going to have that as a cloud offering, but not yet. So something you have to do yourself for now. And then the other thing is your prompts. Make better prompts that are relevant for your code base and what you care about, and share them with team members.
Yeah, I think that's the most powerful thing you can do is like share what you've learned that does work, because that really helps your team. The next one, I'm gonna keep it on new feature, basically feature requests with Sid. How can I use Kilo on my phone? Sometimes I'd like to code simply by launching a prompt and then receiving a notification when it's finished. So I just review the code.
That makes a ton of sense. Session control on a mobile app is something we're all looking forward to. Uh, and we're going to make that sooner rather than later. But if someone wants to contribute that, please do reach out, because we'd love to help you get that over the finish line.
Great. And the next one says, I'm curious, does Kilo offer different models when I subscribe, or do I need to use my own API key with a different provider to access my working Kilo code?
Yeah, so with Kilo is free to start. You can download it, and if you bring your own API key, that's possible. And you can use your own provider, whether that's Open Router or Requestly or the Cell Gateway, AWS Bedrock. It all works in Kilo, so that's great. We're open about that. Then, if you don't have your key yet, you don't have a provider you're happy with, we recommend you use the Kilo Gateway. Put some Kilo credits on there, and we have really, really competitive pricing. You pay list price. There's no commissions you have to pay on top of that. That's part of our open pricing philosophy. And if you use the Kilo Gateway, there's access to over 500 models and 60 providers.
Great, thanks. And I'm just getting the next question up here, but I have a comment. There's a question that came through as a comment that I just want to point out. And this one of our moderators from Discord is actually currently working on Xcode and Xcode version. So
Awesome.
join our Discord, kilo.love/Discord. You can get on the Discord and you could help out. If you're the person that was talking about Xcode, it actually is in the work from our open source community. It's the power of being open source, right? Like, it's like if folks need it, they can help build it themselves. And like you said, if you need it, make sure we know about it, right? Because we want to like gather all that community feedback so that we can understand. So yeah, join our Discord if you're the person that had asked that question. And we're almost at end here, so I'm going to have two more questions. One's a very specific feature question, and then one nice philosophical one to to end us out. So first, on the feature, what do you think? What is the architect mode made for? Could you give some details about how it works? It seems like it's a really cool prompt.
Yeah, for sure. Um, it's a way to kind of let Kilo zoom out a bit, and instead of immediately starting coding, make a better plan. Look at documentation, look at the structure of your code base, and come up with a coherent plan. It's what you if you work at a company, sometimes you have these architects who zoom out a bit more. And what Kilo typically produces is a lot of information about the structure and how to continue, um, including, I think it frequently generates mermaid charts. So you can look at it as a diagram. It can also kind of write down those ideas in agents.md and other files so that it's available next time. And you don't have to rerun that prompt, and new agents can benefit from that. It's a really powerful mode. It takes some getting used to. Um, it's now getting popular. Cursor just introduced it as planning mode, but it's been available in Kilo for over half a year, and people have been achieving great results, especially if you need to take the kind of technical backend in a new or better structured direction. It's super helpful.
Great. Yep. I love it. Sometimes it writes too much, but it always is really informative to read read about it, right? And it's better to do that before you jump into code when you don't have a really solid plan to give the agent, right? Like it helps you formulate that plan a lot better, which is going to help you, the agent, make better code in the end. And I think it helps me make better code too, to think through these things. Okay, so next up and last, as Sid mentioned earlier, this won't be the last AMA, but the last question for today. If you could make one investment bet in the AI space, what would it be?
Yeah, I want invest in yourself and invest by using the latest tools, by using AI as much as you can, and by the world's going to speed up. So you cannot be working at the same speed you were 10 years ago. So you got to speed up, and you got to use AI to do that. And if you use AI more than the average person, I think you're going to get ahead.
Great. Yeah, thanks. That's great. Thanks, Sid, so much for doing this. Again, like I said, he was here in person, so he couldn't really say no when we asked. But really
And this
excited to
is no,
have
no.
you.
I love the questions. I want to do this again.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sorry we didn't get to every question. So if we didn't get to your question, again, join our Discord. We'd love to talk more. We've got a lot of great folks in there, and it won't be the last, AMA. So thanks for joining us today. And again, from a now very sunny Amsterdam. It's been raining all week, but we have beautiful weather that Sid and I are about to go out on a walk with the rest of the team to go to dinner in. Thanks everybody for joining. Have a great rest of your day wherever you're located, and we'll see you next time.